Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Saturday Book Club. Before we begin, let me just refresh my page to see who's joined us today. So today's session, I'm going to be carrying on my sharing session with you, and the book that we're going through is called Gurus for Higher Enlightenment for Sale. So I think I've explained quite a bit about this book in the previous session, so I'm not going to get into the reasons why Rinpoche published this book, but it is filled with a lot of information. Some of this information is not actually kind of widely available, but Rinpoche in this book actually discusses three important topics for everyone who's practicing Tibetan Buddhism. The first is the topic of the Guru. Now, when the society that we actually live in, we don't actually place that much emphasis on spiritual teachers or the importance of spiritual teachers. It's more about personal practice. But within the Tibetan Buddhist context, the spiritual teacher is the key to actually understanding and progressing in one's own spiritual practice. And that's the reason why the Guru is so important. So this is a topic that actually covers most of this book. It is all about the Guru, or the spiritual teacher. And then the second topic that Rinpoche covers in the book is about centers, about Dharma centers, how we should view a Dharma center, how we should view Dharma brothers and sisters, what kind of attitude we should have when going to a Dharma center and receiving teachings. And the third, which is the last section of the book, is about the self. It's about self-transformation. So let me just see who's online. So I see that David Chu and Jonathan are online. Jacinta Go. Alice is online. Good morning, Alice. David Chu, Jacinta, Kelvin Tan, good morning. Pastor Hani, good morning. Sukfan, good morning. And Pastor Gimli is also online, and Martin's here as well. So thank you very much for joining this morning. So what I'm going to do is, last week I was talking about the Guru, and we still have quite a bit left in the book to talk about the Guru. So what I'll be doing is I'll be reading from the book, and then anything that needs explaining, I'll stop and give a bit of an explanation. The reason why I'm reading through the book is because I appreciate the fact that not everyone out there is going to have a copy of it. And it will just make your understanding more deeper as I read it out, okay? So I'm just going to go straight into it. Today's session will start with the section on the root Guru, okay? Our root Guru is the person who made an indelible and powerful impact in our minds to turn away from worldly actions and to engage in Dharma actions. The root Guru is someone who associates very closely with us, takes care of us, talks to us, and helps us. Our root Guru is the Guru who inspires us the most, who has given us a lot of Dharma and who has changed our life. A root Guru may not necessarily be the person we take refuge with. There is often that wrong view. Someone is not our root Guru just because of his status, because he is famous. He has a great publicist who advertises him well, his books are all over the place, and he is in the media. He is not a qualified Guru just because of these things. He may be qualified, he may not be. He may not even be the Guru for us, even if he is qualified. Whether he is the right Guru for us or not will depend on what we need, our personality, and the type of Guru that will suit us. That is an individual decision, something we have to examine in our heart. No one can tell us this. It is important to check this because there is a huge Dharma supermarket out there. All types of Gurus in all types of shapes, colors, types of hats and robes and backgrounds are available. You want a Guru with a big long lineage? You got one. You want a tall Guru with a medium lineage? You got one. There are all types out there. Do you want a Guru who is famous so he can run around, be in the limelight and have pictures taken with him? Or do you want a Guru who is not well known? Who cares? there is no difference. As long as the Guru touches your heart, opens your mind, and makes an indelible impact on your mind to turn towards doing virtuous work, he is our real root Guru. We should not pick a Guru on the basis of appearance, status, wealth, whether he has a center or a temple or a long lineage, whether he is a reincarnation of a high teacher or not. We should not choose our teacher based on those things. We should base our decision on whether the teacher has compassion and teaches us Dharma, and whether the teacher changes our mind and helps us towards Dharma practice with his teachings. It depends on his relationship with us and how he affects our mind. This is why they are called root gurus. They change the root of our thinking. They change our whole basis of life, the whole basis of where we come from. They change everything. And from the roots, the whole tree grows. From the root guru, all roots of attainments arise. So if we, what Rinpoche here has been explaining about the root guru actually goes back to a previous session in which I was talking about the qualities of a guru and what we should look for in a guru. And actually I just finished covering this on my Tuesday Easy Dharma for the New Normal session, in which I'm actually going through the 50 verses of Guru devotion. And during that session I had just finished the section on the 50 verses that actually deals with the qualities of the Guru and the qualities we should look for in a Guru. So if you want to know more about that, you can check out that session which is on the Kechara Facebook page. It's called Easy Dharma for the New Normal, and I'm doing that on Tuesday evenings, and that's going over the 50 verses of Guru devotion. So that's a very good one to know, to learn a bit more if you want to know more about that. Later on in this book, actually, Rinpoche does go in to explain one or two of the verses of Guru devotion, which we'll get to a bit later. So why is it that we need a Guru? A Guru is someone who challenges us, pushes us, tells us ugly and nasty things, and tells us things about ourselves that are both true and untrue. When we are challenged, we will see where our mind is. Again, if you do have any questions, please do ask on the comment section, and I will answer your questions today. So now Rinpoche goes in to talk about the reasons why we need a Guru. Let me tell you a secret. The real reason we have a Guru is for him to scold us, to tell us off, to point out our weaknesses, to tell us ugly things, to tell us things we don't like to hear, to push us to do things we do not want to do, to make us achieve something we did not think we could, and to give us something inside that he can perhaps see through experience, divination, dreams and revelations, which we did not know we could. A real Guru is someone who praises us, gives us gifts, and tells us nice things. It is the person who scolds us, tells us off, and tells us what is wrong. Now, here we actually get into a little bit of a controversial topic, and that is literally what a Guru should do. For most people these days, when they think of a Guru, we have a very particular way of thinking what a Guru should be like and what a Guru should do for us. And actually it's very one-sided, it's very selfish. Now in Buddhism we always say that we need to get rid of our selfishness. But even how we approach spirituality and our relationship with our teacher, we're extremely selfish when in that relationship. So sometimes in Dharma centers you will see that the Guru gives gifts to various people, Dharma gifts. Maybe it's a statue or a mala or a tata or a particular Dharma book, especially among the Dharma staff. Now, when people join a Dharma center and see that the Guru is giving and maybe they've been around for a little while, and they see that the Guru has given a particular gift to another person in the center. Instead of rejoicing for them that the Guru has given them something that they need, usually what happens when we're not practicing the Dharma properly, usually what happens is we start to get a little bit jealous. We get jealous because we think, oh look, the Guru is, showering their affection on a particular person, and not on us. Why isn't the Guru giving us a gift? Why isn't the Guru giving me a Dharma book? I like reading Dharma books. Why didn't the Guru give me a Dharma book? Why didn't the Guru give me a particular statue or, a mala to help with my practice? So when people think like that, that is actually a wrong view. Now, wrong views, generally speaking, wrong view usually, when we're reading about wrong views and things like that and learning about them, it usually only applies to kind of like the highest teachings of emptiness and things like that. But in actual fact, wrong views actually pervade our entire spiritual life, because the way we think and the way we act is from a selfish mind. So I want to give an example. I'm going to give a personal example. When I joined Kechara, I had been around for a couple of months. Rinpoche knew I was here. And one day, Rinpoche sent some of the Ladrang staff, which is his household staff, to Kechara House, where I was working in Kechara House at that point. And Rinpoche, there was a particular woman working there, and at that point what happened is Rinpoche gave her a very big statue. It was a 3-foot statue of Amitayus, which is the Buddha of long life. And along with that, Rinpoche gave her many offering items so that she could make offerings to Amitayus. And she was told that Rinpoche has blessed the statue and gave many Dharma books and a mala to do practice. And at that point, everybody was like, "Wow, rejoice! She's got a gift from the Guru." But I was just kind of sitting there, and being new to Buddhism, not that new to Buddhism, but being new to a Dharma center environment, I was just sitting there thinking to myself, "Hang on a minute, how come she gets a statue and nobody else gets a statue? Why don't I get a statue?" So at that point, I was kind of being really selfish in the way that I was thinking. So over the next couple of days, I was mulling it over in my mind. Why didn't I get anything? Why didn't anybody else get anything? And about a week or two later, I found out that this particular woman was very ill. And Rinpoche had found out, and that's why Rinpoche had given her the 3-foot Amitayus, because as you may know already, Amitayus is the Buddha of long life. So if you engage in Amitayus' practice, it is supposed to lengthen your life if you engage in it properly. So then I found out that Rinpoche had given her the gift because she was ill, and Rinpoche wanted her to live long so she could practice more Dharma. So that's why he'd given her the Amitayus statue, and then she'd started to engage in the Amitayus practice, and eventually she overcame that particular illness that she was going through. Now, Rinpoche actually did this quite a lot. He would, especially among the Dharma students and students who had been around for a while, he would often give various types of gifts. Now, to most people, it would just seem that, sometimes there would be maybe about 20, 30 people who would receive a gift all at the same time. And to kind of an untrained eye, that would seem kind of trivial, because they probably just thought, oh, Rinpoche went out and sponsored a whole bunch of gifts and then just assigned them to people. That's actually not the case, because I went because I was with Rinpoche for a number of years, I actually saw how he did things. And one of the ways he did things, and he chose a particular gift or a particular Dharma item to give to someone based on that person. So Rinpoche was very specific about what he gave to somebody and when he gave that particular item to somebody. So here, what I'm trying to explain is that the way that we view our guru isn't always the way things are. Because usually we view our guru from actually a selfish aspect. We think the guru-disciple relationship is all about us. Another thing that I wanted to mention here, that it briefly mentioned that the guru can see exactly what he or she needs to do in order to help us. And that comes around in two ways. One is experience. If the guru has had enough students or has been in Dharma center situations or monastic situations, he or she is going to have seen a lot of different people with a lot of different problems. So when we actually go to that guru with a particular problem or a particular issue, guru is going to know the best way to help us, because he or she has seen so many people from so many various different backgrounds, but all going through kind of the same problem. They will know how to help us to address that particular issue. And that doesn't just come from experience of people and situation, that also comes from experience of Dharma practice and doing Dharma. Because when you actually do Dharma practice, you understand how your own mind works and how thoughts come about and how you process these thoughts. And when you understand that, and when you have had some sort of transformation in your own mind, you kind of know and understand how to help another person. Another thing, if the guru is highly attained, they're going to have a degree of clairvoyance. So if they have clairvoyance, they don't need to rely on their experience with other people in other situations. They can just kind of see where your mind is and kind of what problems that you have in your mind, what negative qualities that you have, or your negative habits that you have, and how to overcome them. And then the guru will help you in that way. Now, Tsem Rinpoche was highly clairvoyant. Those of us who have had time enough to spend around Rinpoche will know that he knew things that he shouldn't have known. Okay? And sometimes some of us kind of, gently questioned Rinpoche about it. And Rinpoche was very humble. And one thing, he never said he was clairvoyant. But he always said he was good at something called profiling. So profiling is when you meet a person, and by their behavior, by their actions, by the way they talk, the way they move, you can kind of build up a profile of what they're like. And this is usually something that's used in police investigations and things like that. But Rinpoche kind of took the term and applied it to students and applied it to practicing the Dharma. He said when he met somebody, after a couple of minutes, he could profile them. So he could see he could kind of figure out what sort of person they were, what sort of negative qualities they had, what sort of positive qualities they had, and then he could think about ways to determine how to actually help that person. So Rinpoche called it profiling. But from my experience, it was actually more clairvoyance. But Rinpoche would never say that. I say that because there would be there would be some times when Rinpoche would be talking to a particular person, and Rinpoche would come out with a sentence or make a statement that was completely out of the blue. and you couldn't put down to profiling. You couldn't say, oh, Rinpoche knew that because he profiled this person. There's no way that Rinpoche could have known certain things about certain people. For example, I remember one time when Rinpoche was talking to a person for the first time. Within 10 minutes, Rinpoche turned around, oh, how's your pets? And the person said to Rinpoche, oh, they're okay. And then Rinpoche just proceeded to talk about these person's pets. He named exactly how many dogs the person had, and what sort of dog they were, and also this person also kept birds as well. And so Rinpoche was able to talk about the birds. And it was kind of strange. And then after the audience, I was thinking, why did Rinpoche all of a sudden just come up with his clairvoyant ability to talk about this person's pets? But as it turned out, this person was a very, very big animal lover. So in order to get the person open up and to be more comfortable with the Dharma, and to be more comfortable with what Rinpoche later shared with this person about actually transforming the mind and getting rid of your negative qualities, Rinpoche originally started the conversation by the example of pets. But it wasn't just limited to pets. Rinpoche could tell very intimate and personal details about a person and give very good methods in how to overcome a particular negative situation. Now, the thing that was also just mentioned in the paragraph that I read out is the way a guru acts may not necessarily conform to the way in which we think about the guru. One clear example I give of that, sometimes Rinpoche and any guru will scold you. Now remember what I was talking about earlier. Our perception of our guru is very selfish. It's very self-centered. So we always think that the guru will be nice to us, the guru will smile at us, maybe if you're lucky, the guru will give you a hug. It's always going to be nice. But the thing is that sometimes Rinpoche would use the wrathful method, which was to scold you with his words. And when he scolded you with his words, that was actually a method that Rinpoche used to actually shock you out of some sort of negative habit or get you to realize that you have this particular heavy negative habit that you need to overcome. And this is something that gurus do. It is not something that is dwelled upon these days within, the kind of socially acceptable behaviors of a guru. So gurus are supposed to be nice, they're supposed to be, supposed to talk well, they're supposed to be very kind, supposed to help us. But the matter of the fact is, because we have so much negative karma from countless previous lifetimes, we have so many negative habits and so many negative ways of thinking, the kind approach may not always work. So that's when a guru will resort to using a wrathful method, which is scolding using his speech. And this is something that Rinpoche goes into. Rinpoche just mentioned it in the book that we read out. So let's see who else is online. Okay, Keng Hoi is online. Good morning. Tho Cheng Si is online. Iman, Jonathan says hello to everyone and to you. Pastor Albert, good morning. Yin Ping, good morning. There's some comments from Martin. It's not actually profiling per se, but pure omniscience, such as when Rinpoche gifted a student with a new laptop and insisted that she also takes a spare laptop bag to place in the car in case she needs it. As it turned out, the spare laptop bag saved the life of the student in a terrible car accident. Yes, this is a very good example of Rinpoche's clairvoyance. Sometimes he would say or do something that would be completely out of the blue, would be completely strange and alien to all of us, but it turned out that it had it was for the benefit of somebody. So but here you can see Martin's talking about the laptop bag, in which Rinpoche insisted that she take the laptop bag, and as it turned out, she was in a car crash, and the laptop bag actually saved her life. Because when she woke up from when after the crash happened, she actually found out that she actually found herself lying on her laptop bag. And if she hadn't been lying on the laptop bag, then she would have been hurt very badly. Okay. So if anybody's got any questions, please do ask. No questions as of yet. So I'll continue on with the book. We should not fight back or make excuses. We should achieve whatever our teacher tells us to do, no matter how impossible and difficult it may seem. That is what a guru is for. Think about our teachers at school. They made us do everything we did not want to do, and they gave us all those difficult, ugly assignments. Think about our parents. They made us do everything we did not want to do. Eat vegetables, take vitamins, go to sleep early, wash up, brush our teeth, not watch bad television shows, not to be rude to our neighbors, or not to fight. Everything that we have now comes from being made to do what we did not want to do. And this is actually another very good point about selfishness, about being self-centered, about self-cherishing. We always usually want to do what we want to do, but what might not always be best for us to do. So there are people in our lives, such as teachers and parents and gurus, as Rinpoche has mentioned in the book, that tell us not to do something. So when we don't do it, we find ourselves becoming a better person. For teachers and parents, this is from a kind of a material, worldly point of view, but obviously the same kind of concept applies to our spiritual transformation as well. A guru is not someone who is supposed to be kind, gentle, easy, and all smiling to us. That is not a guru. That is a big Shangri-La man who comes once every 3 years, gives initiations, pats us on the head, throws some flowers, and tells us how wonderful we are. Of course, if we see these gurus once every few years for just a few days, we will think he is holy and wonderful, and we will cry when someone just mentions his name. A real guru is not someone who is nice to us. He might do that in the beginning to train us and prepare us, but a real guru is someone who challenges us, pushes us, tells us ugly and nasty things, and tells us things about ourselves that are both true and untrue. When we are challenged, when we see where our mind is, a guru will press all of our buttons to help us see our minds, and to help him see our minds so that he can help us. We want a guru to bring us to enlightenment, and we achieve enlightenment by destroying the qualities in our minds that block us from enlightenment. We destroy those negative qualities by recognizing them, and we are led to recognize them when our guru brings them forth to us. When we reach a highest level of practice, when our minds are more stable, our guru may even accuse us of things that are not true. How we react, what kind of face we show to our guru, and behind the guru shows us our level of practice. Ultimately, through this training, we will get to a point where nothing disturbs us. When nothing disturbs us, we have acquired a wish-fulfilling jewel, just like what Avalokiteshvara holds in his hands. The wish-fulfilling jewel is a mind that creates no negative karma, a mind that fulfills all our wishes. The mind arises when nothing disturbs it anymore. Here actually Rinpoche is bringing up quite two major points in Dharma practice, especially when dealing and thinking about the guru. The first is actually equanimity, mental equanimity or equilibrium of the mind, in which you have reached a point where your negative or your positive attitudes, your negative or your, not really your attitudes, but more of your reactions to certain situations in life no longer what is the word? Sorry, I'm lost for words today. Are no longer lead you to make decisions that will actually lead to generating karma. And let me explain that a little bit. We know, as Buddhists, we know about karma, and we know that the good things that have happened to us are due to good karma, and the bad things that have happened to us are due to negative karma. So we always talk about we need to purify our negative karma. We need to ensure that negative karma is lessened, so we no longer are afflicted by bad situations, and that we can actually practice more Dharma to achieve enlightenment. But the thing that we don't usually realize is that we're always creating karma. Now, and how we create karma is the way we react to certain situations. If we react negatively to a certain situation, we are going to cause the creation of negative karma. If we act positively, we are going to create the causes, we're going to generate the causes for positive karma. So there comes a point within the training that a guru will put you through in which he will switch from being a very kind and very gentle, provided that he thinks you're ready enough to handle it, or maybe even just to check where you are in your practice. As Rinpoche has said, the guru may accuse you of things that are not true. And the reason why a guru would do that is to judge your mind, to judge where you are in your practice. If you react negatively, maybe you talk back to the guru, maybe behind the guru's back you start talking badly about him, maybe you start acting up in the way that you interact with your dharmas and brothers and sisters because of what the guru did. These are all signs that you haven't reached a very good point of equilibrium within the Dharma practice, which is to not allow external situations to have an effect on your internal mind, which we always say should be calm, should be composed, should be logical. And in doing so, the guru gauges where your mind is. And most of the time, the guru will then be able to know how to help you overcome that particular negative quality that you have that is causing you to feel that way and react in that way to the guru. Usually it is quite specific. I'm going to give you two examples, and these aren't examples that I usually share, but I wanted to share it with you guys, okay? When I first came to Kechara, at that point, there weren't many Indians within Kechara or actively practicing in Kechara. And sometimes, one thing, because I'm from the UK, when I moved to Malaysia, it was a culture shock, because the culture in Malaysia is completely different from the culture in the UK. So there was a bit of a culture shock. But the other thing that kind of shocked me was that I was used to a very multi-ethnic environment. So among my family, among my friends, my colleagues at work, or even when I was at university, everything was quite multi-ethnic. But when I came to Kechara, even though in Malaysia we are multi-ethnic, Kechara being a Buddhist organization, there was obviously more Chinese people than there were Indian people. So that kind of got to me a little bit, because sometimes when I tried to, because the culture was so different from UK culture, and one thing that I tried to do was I tried to relate as well as I could to other people. One of the ways I used to do that was to kind of share bits and pieces of Indian culture with other people. And sometimes that didn't always work. So when I came to Ladrang, one of the things that I think Rinpoche kind of noticed that culturally I was feeling out of sorts, and I was very, what is the word? Jumpy when anybody mentions me being Indian or referenced anything to do with being Indian. So there came a point where what Rinpoche would do is he would just call me, he would call me, "Hey Niral, Indian, come here." So at that point I was like, why is Rinpoche calling me an Indian? I mean, I am, but why is Rinpoche highlighting it? And he'd only do it in when there was when we were kind of like with other people. If I was just me and Rinpoche in the room, or me, Rinpoche, and Pastor David, then Rinpoche wouldn't do it. But when it was there were more people around, then Rinpoche would do it. So I was wondering what Rinpoche was doing, and sometimes it would get to me that Rinpoche was kind of singling me out for being the odd one out in the room, because everybody else was Chinese, and I was obviously Indian. And then there came to a point that Rinpoche one day, when it was just me, Rinpoche, and Pastor David, I think, Rinpoche kind of turned around to me and he said, "What do you think about me calling you Indian all the time?" And I thought, so I explained to Rinpoche. I found it a little bit weird, because everybody else in the room was Chinese and I was the only Indian. And then Rinpoche just turns around to me and says, "Pastor Niral, do you know what? In a room, where if I'm giving a Dharma teaching or anything, you're not the only odd one out, And I was thinking to myself, what does Rinpoche mean I'm not the only odd one out? And he goes, and then Rinpoche says to me, "I'm not Chinese." And then I turn around to Rinpoche and goes, and then I thought, oh yeah, Rinpoche's not Chinese. And then my jumpiness at being, labeled the Indian kind of disappeared. Because in a room, if Rinpoche was given a teaching, he would, obviously he's not Chinese, he's half Mongolian, half Tibetan, and I'm Indian. Everybody else is everybody else in the room would be Chinese. So I kind of realized that it was Rinpoche's trick of kind of getting me to not place so much emphasis on it, on my race, while being in Kechara, which was a bit different from how things used to be when I lived back in the UK, because in the UK you did place emphasis on your race. Even though the society that I lived in was so multi-ethnic, your kind of identity came from your race. Even though you had friends and family from different races, you still kind of held on. Well, at least I did when I was younger. I held on to my idea and my notion of my race. So this is something that Rinpoche kind of helped me work through and overcoming this notion that my race is my identity. There was that. Another example I will give is more of a very personal example. There was a particular woman that I used to work with, and she just always found the right way to annoy me. So every day that I would interact with her, there would, just the way she, the way she did things, or the way she talked, or, just the sound of her voice would really irritate me. Even the way she walked into the room would irritate me. It got to that point where it would just irritate me. I would just get so annoyed at this particular person. And everything she did, from the way she did her work, to the way she, washed dishes or whatever, it just really, really annoyed me. And if somebody asked me, what is it about her that annoys you so much? And then I had an extremely long list. She walks funny, she talks funny, she looks funny, she, doesn't do things properly, she's weird. And eventually Rinpoche kind of, Rinpoche kind of figured out that I got annoyed. I was annoyed with her. And then Rinpoche kind of was trying to figure out why I was so annoyed with her. So for 1 or 2 days, Rinpoche kind of asked me, what do you think of this person, or that person, or whatever, how do you feel towards them? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Why don't you like them? Or why do you like them? And then and a couple of, maybe a week or two later, Rinpoche kind of turned around and said, that woman that you don't like, you do realize she was your wife in your past life? And my jaw hit the floor. I was like, my wife in my past life? I was like, oh my God, I would never have wanted to be married to a woman like that. I was just thinking, how in the world could I have lived with such a person? Let's forget the fact that this was in a previous life, so it didn't even cross my mind that in a previous life she would have had a different personality. I was just kind of thinking in my mind, I would never, want to be with such a person because the person is so annoying. So then over time what Rinpoche did is Rinpoche teased me over and over and over again for years by calling that woman my lover. So when he was talking casually about people, he would go, oh, Niral's lover. I'm like, what? Who's that? And it was Rinpoche was talking about this particular woman. And Rinpoche did it non-stop. And my annoyance with this person was very high. And then on top of that, Rinpoche did it non-stop. He would just talk about her and he would go, oh yeah, Niral's lover. At a certain point in time, he didn't even use her name. He just called her Niral's lover. And I was thinking, why is Rinpoche calling it? It got me so frustrated. And the more frustrated I got, the more Rinpoche used that term. So I was always wondering why is Rinpoche using that term? And then one day it kind of dawned on me. One of the teachings that Rinpoche always tells people to act by and to live by is compassion. But my being annoyed with this person was anything but compassion. It was just pure selfishness, because she just annoyed me. And if you think about annoyance or being annoyed with something or somebody, it is because they don't conform to what you want them to do or how you think about them. And that itself is very selfish. So then I thought, okay, Rinpoche is calling this woman my lover because he knows I am annoyed so much by her. So then I realized that the way I thought about this person had to change. Yes, this person, I still think this person does things in a weird way, and she does get things wrong, or she does make mistakes, but then again, we're all human. But then I realized that is the way she is. That is the way that her karma has manifested to make her the way she is. She is the result of not only her karma from previous lifetimes, but her experiences in this lifetime. And obviously, they're not going to be exactly like mine. So obviously, she is going to do things and think things and act in ways that are different from the way that I would do things myself, or that I would accept as being acceptable actions. But she is still a person. She is still deserving of compassion, of our love and our care. So then my annoyance at her kind of lessened and lessened and lessened. And as it lessened, and as Rinpoche realized that it was lessening, he gradually stopped using the term lover. Okay? And just when he was talking about her. So then I realized, why did Rinpoche use the term lover? And then I realized, because he was telling me to love her, not in a sexual way or anything like that, more in a platonic manner. She is my Dharma sister, so I actually do need to love her. I need to show compassion. I need to be compassionate. So that was one of the ways that's an example that I wanted to give to you all about how Rinpoche kind of changed a person's perception and made them understand their own thoughts and the way they see things, and help them overcome something. And what I did overcome was being annoyed, because I will tell you now, my level of annoyance was very high. If she just breathed, I would be annoyed. That's how annoyed I would get. But yeah, just by using that one term over and over again, Rinpoche helped me to see how I was thinking about this person and overcome that. So it's a very good example. Okay, let's see who's online and if there's any comments. Okay, Sharon has joined. Gillian is also online. Good morning. Chan Waiki is online. Pastor Antoinette is also online. Okay, I see some comments. Jacinta asks, this may be a bit out of the topic, Pastor. What is the difference between omniscience and premonition? Okay, the difference between omniscience and premonition. Premonition is when you have the knowledge that something is going to happen, and it is not a premonition is a particular instance. So for example, somebody may have a premonition. My examples are not very good. Have a premonition that if I go to, the mamak store today, they're going to have this particular dish that they don't usually have, so I'm going to go. That is kind of a premonition. Omniscience is different. Omniscience, the literal term in English, omniscience, means all-knowing. Okay? So it means that they actually have the ability to see or know everything. And within the Buddhist context, the people who have omniscience is the Buddhas. When you become enlightened, you gain omniscience. You know everything. And you know everything because you see samsara clearly. And obviously, our existence being within samsara, the Buddhas know everything about us. They know what has happened in previous lifetimes that has led us to create negative karma, put us in the situation we are in now, and how our mind and the negative habits in our mind work. Okay, so that is omniscience. So some lamas, if they're enlightened, if they're emanations of the enlightened beings, also have omniscience. Okay. Now, if you're not in a side point to this, if you're not an enlightened being, there are ways in which you can develop your clairvoyance. Okay, so clairvoyance is not omniscience, but it's more than a premonition. Clairvoyance is knowing and understanding things at will, whereas a premonition is something that just comes to you. So there are many ways. And usually there is two types of clairvoyance that is mentioned within the text. One is called worldly clairvoyance, and the other one is called enlightened clairvoyance. So enlightened clairvoyance would be omniscience. Worldly clairvoyance would be something like people with psychic abilities knowing things about you, able to tell you things about certain situations or things like that. That is the worldly clairvoyance. But the enlightened clairvoyance is the omniscient mind of a Buddha. It's the all-knowing. Even within Buddhism, however, there are meditations and techniques where you can develop clairvoyance, but it is only done if it is to be used for a specific purpose. Within Buddhism, you always hear about, this master had this ability, this master could, fly in the air, this master could walk on water, this master could, leave his handprint in a rock. All of these abilities that can be developed when you meditate and when you do meditation. But it's not just meditation, it's also about transforming the mind and getting rid of your negative qualities. But these are all done, and these qualities can develop if there is a particular reason and use for them. And by that I mean if you can use it to help another sentient being, to help another being out of their suffering, and to help them along their spiritual path. So let's see if there's any comments. Okay, Martin said, that's a very good and funny story, but also articulates the way Rinpoche teaches us to examine ourselves instead of focusing on the faults of others and keep rubbing our faces into our expectations of how things should be. Exactly, Martin. Jacinta says, it's a great example, Pastor. That's how we should view our enemy too. Love her, love her. Correct. Yep. Pastor Hani says, that's a very good story, reminding us that an annoying person was karmically close to us in a previous life. Yeah, absolutely. And it's another point that Pastor Hani's pointed out very clearly. Everybody that we have, we know in our lives, whether we like them, whether we don't like them, or whether we don't know them at all. Due to the sheer number of countless previous lifetimes that we've had, everybody has been our brother, our mother. I mean, all the Dharma texts say that all sentient beings are mother sentient beings. The reason why they're called mother sentient beings is because in previous lifetimes they have been our mothers. But it's more than that. They've also been our fathers, our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, our sons or daughters, our partners, our wives, our husbands. And this is, if we kind of contemplate this understanding of previous lifetimes and the understanding that we have been in these situations with these people throughout countless lifetimes, we actually find that we're actually able to handle situations with these people better, whether there are positive situations or most likely negative situations with these people currently in our lives. When we understand that they have been our mothers, our brothers, our lovers, our partners in previous lifetimes, we actually find ourselves, our minds more stable when it comes to these people. So obviously within things like the Lamrim or advanced meditation, we do use the concept of the mother or family members and apply it to all sentient beings in order to equalize them within our mind streams. And in that way, we can be compassionate not just to those that we love, but also compassionate to complete strangers. So I've just seen Hannah come online. Hannah, good morning. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to get on to the next section, which is the section on taking a guru. Okay? Students sometimes have doubts as to whether their guru is harmful or beneficial. This is why it is very important for us to check our guru before we take him as our guru. We are advised that we can take up to 12 years to check the guru, while the guru checks us for 12 years. As it says in the 50 verses on guru devotion, in order for the words of honor of neither the guru nor the disciple to degenerate, there must be a mutual examination beforehand to determine if each can brave a teacher-disciple relationship. A disciple with sense should not accept as his guru someone who lacks compassion or who is angersome, vicious or arrogant, possessive, undisciplined or boasts of his knowledge. It tells us very clearly to check beforehand, not after we have taken refuge. It is our choice. The verses tell us that if we come across someone with those negative qualities, we should stop right there. We do not need to go for refuge, and we do not need to take this person on. Do not check afterwards. Do you check your car after you buy it? Do you check your husband after you marry him? Do you check your house carefully after you buy it? Why would you check the guru after you have taken refuge? Most gurus will not confer initiation, higher practices or higher vows until we are connected to them. Real gurus will tease us, play with us, jest with us, push us around, scream at us, shout at us, put us down, give us gifts, make us happy, help us and shout at us back and forth so we can see each other's characteristics and qualities. If we have the good fortune to be near a teacher on a personal basis, then we can examine his character and his daily actions all the time. Realize that whether the daily activities of the guru are mundane or dharmic, it is not the activity but the motivation behind it that counts. Verse 8 of the 50 verses on guru devotion. A guru should be stable in his actions, cultivated in his speech, wise, patient, and honest. He should neither conceal his shortcomings nor pretend to possess qualities he lacks. He should be an expert in the meanings of the Tantra and in its ritual procedures of medicine and turning back obstacles. He should also have loving compassion and complete knowledge of the scriptures. A guru's consistency or stability in his actions refers to his perseverance for Dharma, spreading the Dharma, giving us the Dharma, and transforming us for Dharma. That is what it means to be stable in his actions. If he changes his clothes, hairstyle, and food, it does not mean he is unstable, because those things do not matter. It is his intention towards the Dharma that matters. We can check the long-term results of his actions and his motivation. We can check out our gurus by their students, by what they do for their monastery and their Dharma organization. We can see how much they give up for others, how much sleep, love, care, finances, and reputation they can give up for others. We can see if the result matches the person's motivation. I cannot go around examining some high gurus to check if they are pure or not. So I look at his actions, his people, what he does, how he acts. If he is totally obnoxious and loud, I look at the effect that his actions have on their students. Even if some students run away, we can ask if they have regrets, if they still love the guru, how they feel. Only then will we know the guru's motivation. We can check if the guru surrounds himself with material items for himself, such as jewels, beautiful houses, beautiful women, and lots of money, or if he tries to surround himself with Dharma, such as Dharma objects, Dharma people, Dharma motivation, Dharma work, Dharma projects, or if he is always talking about Dharma projects and work, and speaks of a Dharma motivation. If he is always moving us through and with Dharma, then he must be without an ulterior agenda. In this degenerate time, it is hard to find a guru we can view perfectly. Therefore, the criteria for us today should be whether this person, whom we take as a guru, concerns himself more with this life or future lives. If a person concerns himself more with future lives, then his actions will be in accord. If this person is more concerned with this life, his actions will be in accord, and it should not be a qualification that we should go for. If this person is more concerned about his future lives, he will not be wealthy. He will not be after wealth, appearances and good places. He will be studying the Dharma, practicing morality, teaching, praying. If he is concerned more about future lives and he can convey the Dharma, if he can inspire us and we benefit from his Dharma, then we can take him as a guru. A true guru will hide his qualities and will not tell you what his attainments are. He will tell you that he is stupid, full of anger, lazy, not advanced in his practice and not qualified. A false guru will tell us he floats in the sky, he sees Kuan Yin, and he can talk to Amitabha. This is a sign of a false guru, because a real guru has modesty and has humility. These would be some of the qualities he has cultivated in his practice. If he does not have that, how can he be preaching qualities like humility? Of course, we should not be fooled by his humble talk. We should not think that he is really stupid, full of anger, is lazy, that he does not have attainments, and does not know what he is doing. We should not think it is that simple just because he said so. Because a true guru will never, ever reveal his attainments. For example, we know that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is Avalokiteshvara, but he would never say that. He says, "I'm just a simple Buddhist monk. My name is Tenzin Gyatso." A true guru will never ever reveal his qualities to us. It is only by our practice, meditation, and attainment that we can slowly see the qualities of our guru. After we receive the vows from our guru, we should hold them. We should be conscientious about them. We should read teachings like the 50 verses on guru devotion, Relating to a Spiritual Teacher or Dangerous Friend. These two books, one is called Relating to a Spiritual Teacher and Dangerous Friend, are books that are purely on the guru-disciple relationship. On how we should interact with, talk to, and treat our guru. Taking refuge with a guru is not a game, and once we take refuge, we cannot turn against our guru or say nasty and ugly things about him. It is presumed that we have used our wisdom to check them out. If we say things about them, it is then assumed that everyone must see our guru as evil and rotten. If everybody else does not see that, and we see that, it is our own wrong perception. We will look stupid and ridiculous. We will look like we were in haste, a momentary fad, and did not check. If we hastily take a person as a guru and we act out of line, the responsibility falls on us, not the guru. The 50 verses on guru devotion warns, having become the disciple of such a protecting guru, should you despise him from your heart, you will reap continual suffering as if you have disparaged all the Buddhas. We will collect the karma of not meeting a guru, or not meeting or following the proper teachings in the future. Also, we should not just cultivate a guru relationship with someone who has a high, big name and a big entourage. We should not develop a relationship with a guru because he is charismatic or attractive, or because he is a scholar and teaches the Dharma eloquently, or because he is wealthy, has a lot of disciples and people praise him. Our guru devotion and the person we receive Dharma from have nothing to do with the person's status, form, appearance, name, or position. We should develop an affinity with our teacher because we can understand the teachings from this person. We can relate to this person and he can guide us to enlightenment. Whether he is a layperson or a monk, whether he has a high name or low name, whether he is attractive or not, or scholarly or not. It is better to take as our guru a simple monk who does not have a lot of knowledge, but who inspires us and helps us to practice, than to take a high scholar who does not practice anything he says and who will probably end up in hell anyway. So there's one last very small section which I'll read out, which is taking a guru. There is no formal ceremony for taking a guru, or for the gurus to accept us as their students. The Dalai Lama, for example, cannot say, I accept you, I accept you, I accept you as my student, to every person who goes up to him. Each Kala Chakra initiation has 40,000 people. However, if anyone in the audience thinks, I take this person as my guru from now on, then the bond is sealed. It is nothing verbal or spoken. It can be spoken or unspoken bond. This is up to us. However, if we wish to take a second teacher, we must have the permission of the first. Without the permission of our first teacher, we cannot get teachings from the second. If we do, no attainments will arise. It is for us to show respect. If for any reason our teacher should say no to us going to another guru, we should not think that our guru is being mean to us and that he just wants us to keep us for himself. If we think like that, we might as well forget the whole thing. There are many books that benefit us and talk about the relationship with the guru. Instead of relying on hearsay from here and there, we should read these guides and be sure. We have to ask ourselves if we treasure this relationship and if it is important to us. We read up, check and surf the net for anything else that is important. We should do the same for this. Okay. So the section that I've just actually read out, Rinpoche actually goes and talks more about the 50 verses of Guru devotion. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail of that here, because I am actually talking about that on the Tuesday Easy Dharma for the New Normal sessions over on the Kechara Facebook page at 9:30 p.m. And if you would like to know more about that, I actually go more into more detail in those sessions into the 50 verses. So in those sessions, I'm actually covering what is known as the outer and the inner aspect of Guru devotion. The outer aspect would be things like the 50 verses of Guru devotion, and the inner aspects, which I'll be explaining later on in those sessions, is actually explained within the Lam Rim. So I'll be doing Guru devotion there in those sessions in two ways: outer Guru devotion and inner Guru devotion. So I think I will actually end today's session there. Before I go, I would just like to say thank you very much to our sponsors for today's session, which is Chu Suk Fun, Sharon Ong, Karen Won and family, and also Kong Iman. Thank you very much. I'll dedicate the merits from this session to you as per the dedications that you specified. If anybody would like to sponsor any of these sessions, whether it is my session or any of the live streaming sessions, you can do so on the link provided in the description. So thank you very, very much for joining, and have a good afternoon. And don't forget to join Lunch Together, which will be live shortly on this same Facebook page. And today you're going to be in for a little bit of a treat. I hope I've kept you intrigued. So I'll see you later. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.